Hello everyone, I'm Naz from ICT Works, and in today's video I have the brand new £7,000 spec Dell Precision 7680, which is Dell's 16-inch mobile workstation, and this one here has the top of the range NVIDIA 16GB RTX A5000 GPU, which is a £2,500 option, and its gaming equivalent is the RTX 2080 Ti, but this is more memory, so it means not only will it be an animal of a workstation, it will also allow you to game at very high settings, which we will see very shortly. But let's begin with the unboxing. In the box you get a chunky 240 watt power adapter with the standard Dell charger port. You're presented with the usual Dell logo on the lid, and the colour is a matte silver. In the light you can see a glittery shimmer, but not in a cheap and tacky way. It's made from aluminium, so it does feel premium, as it should do given its cost. On the inside this is finished in a matte black, and unlike the Precision 5570, this does not have any carbon, which I personally liked in that model. There is nothing groundbreaking with the appearance, but this range is aimed at businesses, so it does need to look good in a meeting room, but not out of place good, hence there is no RGB. The full specification of the laptop in today's review is on screen now. The display on this review model is a 16-inch Full HD Plus anti-glare panel with a screen resolution of 1920 by 1200 at 60Hz. It has a 250 nit brightness level, which in today's standard is not very bright. There is a small bezel running around the outside, and it would have been nice for it to be edge to edge, but that could be a design characteristic. With having a 16:10 aspect ratio, there are two other options, and I would personally go for the 4K screen if you have the budget for it. You can select from a 13th gen i5 up to an i9 processor. This model has the i7 13850HX with 30 megabytes of cache, 28 threads, 20 cores, and a clock speed of 2.2 GHz running up to 5.3 GHz, which will be more than adequate to run most applications. I'll provide some benchmark results later. Onto memory, you can configure up to 128GB of DDR5 running at 5200 MHz. You also have the option of an ECC and super speed. ECC is error correction code for the i7 and i9 processors only, which will reduce the number of crashes. Onto storage, you can select from a 256GB M2 NVMe SSD and up to 4TB. You have 3 Gen 4 M2 slots, so you can configure up to 12TB of storage and also have them in a RAID configuration, so there is plenty of space, but it does come at a cost. It comes with an Intel Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 across all options, and there is also an optional mobile broadband SIM card slot. You have a choice of these GPUs. As I mentioned, in this model I have the range-topping 16GB RTX A5000. And whilst we are on the subject, let's see how well it does in games. On Forza Horizon 5, I am getting 60 frames per second on extreme setting with everything maxed. CPU utilization is between 11 and 20%, so barely getting used. GPU utilization is around 60% and drawing 70 watts of power. The graphics is amazing with these settings. If this was a 4K resolution screen, I think this card will have no problems with running this game at these settings. The sound quality is one of the best I've heard from a laptop, and it's set at 50%, and this is not even a gaming laptop. On Call of Duty Warzone, settings are set to quality. We are getting 90 frames per second. The processor is around 35 to 45% utilization. GPU utilization is between 80 and 95%, and it's drawing 80 watts of power. GPU temperature is around 80 degrees Celsius, and if you touch the area around the escape key, is very hot around there, but the laptop is doing a good job at cooling. Not much of an issue for me as I'm using a controller, but those gaming using a keyboard will definitely feel the heat. The cooling fans are much quieter than what I expected, but I suspect the vapor chamber is doing a great job of getting rid of the heat from the rear exhaust. The game is running very smooth, and again the visuals are great. Atomic Heart is another GPU intensive game, and we are getting 120 frames per second. Settings are set to atomic, which is the highest setting. GPU is at 70 to 85% utilization and drawing between 70 and 85 watts of power. CPU is barely being used even during the fight scenes. Visuals again are very stunning. I'm quite surprised by the display being 250 nit. I thought it wouldn't be bright enough during gaming, but it looks great in all 3 games that I have tested. Overall, I can happily say that this GPU rocks at gaming. If you wanted to game during your lunch, or if you're in a business lounge at an airport for example, well, I can tell you on battery you will get around an hour. As standard you get a 83 watt hour battery, but if you spec up a more power hungry GPU, then you are forced to have the 240 watt PSU with the 93 watt hour 6 cell battery. This does come with a 3-year warranty, which for a battery is brilliant and another reason why you pay these premiums. I use PC Mark 10 battery benchmark. On the modern office profile, I was able to achieve a time of 6 hours, which is measured by the balance of writing, web browsing and video conferencing tasks, which is separated by short periods of idle. Unfortunately, it won't last a full working day on battery. The starting weight of this laptop is 2.67 kilograms, which is around 5.9 pounds. The laptop I have here with the massive RTX A5000 weighs in at 2.94 kilograms, which is almost 6.5 pounds. It is heavy, and if you're lugging it around with a power pack, that adds an extra half a kilo. This weight is to be expected given the performance it's packing, but it's far from workstation heavy, so it's a win in my book. Onto the connectivity. On the left side you have the power connector, the RJ45 network port, HDMI 2.1, USB 3.2 Type A with power share, and 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Lastly, you have an optional Smartcard reader. I am not a fan of this type of RJ45 port. In my experience, I have seen network cables being stuck inside them, and on some occasions I've had to call Dell out, who have replaced the motherboard just to get rid of the cable. On the right side you have a full-size SD card slot, you have a universal audio jack, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port with a DP alt mode. You also have a USB 3.2 Type A with power share and a wedge lock slot. It has a standard backlit keyboard with a number pad, which is great for those inputting a lot of numbers. The keys have a small amount of travel. It does feel nice and comfortable, similar to the other Precision models I've reviewed. Texture wise, it feels smooth with a matte texture and is very quiet. It does have a fairly large glass click pad with multi-gesture. Pushing down on the click pad, there is a slight noise which could get annoying if you are working close with others. Have a listen. Personally, I would have preferred a slightly bigger click pad like the one in the Precision 5570. The PalmRest has the same feel as the keys and feels comfortable when you have your palms rested on it, so I am sure you won't have any issues with working on this for long periods of time. It's got a full HD 1080p camera with a privacy shutter, and here's how the camera looks within the camera app. The speakers sound amazing, one of the best I've heard from a laptop, with some great bass, excellent for presenting with, watching movies and even gaming as you heard earlier. It has 4 2-watt speakers providing a total of 8 watts. I'll play some royalty free music at 50% volume. And now 100%. You can select the option for Windows Hello compliance, meaning you have express sign-in which also detects your presence to instantly wake and log you in via the IR camera and Windows Hello. It locks upon walking away so your work stays safe. If you're looking away, the screen darkens, which also helps to save battery life. The model I have here doesn't unfortunately have the express sign-in. Someone cheaped out on the spec. That's my own fault for not checking that option, but if you are thinking of buying this, I would definitely select the IR camera just for security reasons and ease of logging in. Taking off the bottom is a simple task. Just unscrew the 6 screws and I use a flat plastic interior tool on the Smartcard reader slot to pry it open. Here you have the primary SSD and these are the 2 additional M2 slots, which means you can upgrade them yourself. And here you have the memory, in my case 64GB. Now this doesn't look upgradable to me, so if you're customizing it, keep that in mind. You do have an access panel for getting to the primary SSD, however I would avoid taking that off as it took me half an hour to figure out how to get it back on. There is a plastic piece that you can use to stop anyone getting into the access panel without unscrewing the 6 screws underneath. Using PC Mark 10, the results are on screen and show some great scores in different categories. Other tests were run using Geekbench, Crystal Diskmark and Cinebench. To summarize these tests from the results, I can see that this will manage pretty much whatever you throw at it. The base model with the RTX A1000 comes in at just short of £2,900 or just over $3,000 on the US website. You already know how much this model specification is, and anyone would be mad to pay that amount for a laptop. So I can tell you that as a Dell business customer, this laptop costs £4,379 with discounts applied. This is still a lot, but you are paying the premiums for better driver compatibility for the hardware, but more importantly for the GPU, which tend to perform better in engineering applications rather than for gaming. Better build quality, better warranty options, so parts are usually available for longer. Also not forgetting the ISF, which is Independent Software Vendor Certification, which ensures the high performance applications that you may run on this laptops run smoothly. So what's the final verdict? Should you avoid it, shortlist it, or should you go ahead and buy it? I would shortlist it. If you are considering this laptop, then you are doing so for a specific reason. The reason why we bought it, and yes, this is not a loan, I am far from being monetized. The company I work for, rather the design engineers, need this beef of a spec to work with some 3D scanning software that will allow them to scan a gearbox and all its components, saving thousands of hours of engineering time, so the laptop will eventually pay for itself. The high specs were recommended by the company selling the scanning software. In this situation, the costs are justified. The Precision 7000 range all have the higher end GPU options, so if this is not a necessity for you, then consider the Precision 5570 or the Precision 7760, which is end of life, and both can be picked up for under £3,000. I have reviewed both of those, so please make sure you click on these videos if you are interested. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and let me know in the comments what you think of the verdict. Thank you.